activities through donations to scholarship funds. Almost every All-Star element showcase HBCU traditions and culture. Grambling State, Florida A&M bands, Clark Atlanta University's Philharmonic Society perform Roland Carter's rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing. All the refs went to HBCUs. LeBron's chalk toss with Steph and Giannis with his son pregame. Cool stuff. As Kenny mentioned, players seem to be lukewarm about this whole idea, but they were into it on Sunday, really in every facet. There's LeBron. Watch Steph. Shoot, turn around. Did it go in? Yeah, of course it went in. Even Dame like that. Of course.
Churlish.
I did you. Remember? Earlier in the year, Dennis Schroeder screamed from the bench, $500, you miss it. And LeBron made it and turned around and Steph.
Come on.
From the letter A. I like to buy a vowel, Mr. Sajak. An A. Steph on Team LeBron squad. He was 8 of 16 shooting threes. He had 28 points. It was a 60-point second quarter for Team LeBron. They had 60 points in the second quarter. That one's worth 3. There's your boy Giannis. How about a little step back? Yeah, why not? Giannis loves the All-Star game. He averages 28.8 in his All-Star games. That's the most all-time. So now the second quarter explosion continues. Meanwhile, Giannis is he's pitching a perfect game at this juncture. Hasn't missed a shot yet. 11 for 11 in the first half. By the way, Team LeBron won the first quarter. $150,000 went to the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. Second quarter, actually, we mentioned 60 points in all. Jokic can dance for inspiration. Late second, and look at it. How about that? Steph, the recipient of an alley-oop pass. He puts it in.
Rare sighting.
Very nice. Oh, and he gives it to Chris Paul.
Right back.
And the old running joke. And then late first half, one up from halftime. Yeah. Damian Lillard. Still only worth 3. And then Curry. Why not? You try it. Little closer. Same result. Team LeBron wins the second quarter. Again, 60-41. They lead at halftime, 100-80. All right, we mentioned Giannis. Got a perfect game going, 11 for 11. Jokic delivers to him there. Jokic, again, I'll throw it up to Giannis. That was easy. Up to 13 for 13. Did he try to bank this?
I don't think so.
Oh, if he did.
But I like it.
We'll hear from Mark Spears later in SportsCenter about that shot. So stay tuned for that. Team LeBron wins the third quarter by 1, 46-45. They lead 146-125. First team to 170 now. We got that old target thing going.
I like it.
So we're 6 points away from the win. Lillard, he, like Steph,
shoot it.
Was 8 of 16. This is ridiculous. It's just like a regular jump shot. I'd have to throw that like a baseball that far. It is Dame time. Unreal. Of course, guys used to shoot like that in 1940s, but they shot like 8%. Team LeBron's a winner, 170-150. Yeah, you don't miss a shot. You go 16 for 16, you win the MVP. Those are the rules. Also, 3 of 3 from behind the arc. So they weren't all dunks. A lot of them were. That's the best field goal percentage by any player who took at least 10 shots in an All-Star game. Past Anthony Davis, who went 12 for 13 from the field in 2016. Let's hear from the MVP and his perfect game.
Now, I'm trying to do this back home too, but they're not letting me, so you guys got to put the word in and let them tell them to let me shoot more threes. No, I'm joking, but I was just having fun, and sometimes when you're just having fun, you're not thinking about the outcome. It just happens. I just let my instinct take over.
I hope that they allow me to retire from being an all-star, captain, so I can retire with a perfect 4-0 record. I'll keep that forever, but we'll see what happens.
I still appreciate just being here and enjoying being an all-star and what the weekend usually means. And even with everything being different this year, I still had a great time out there. I still love basketball, and it drives you. Obviously, we want to win and be in the.
Kings taking on the Lakers.
without LeBron James, his first game on the bench of the season. They also had no Anthony Davis, no Marc Gasol, yet still tied with about a minute to go. That's when De'Aaron Fox hits, and the Kings led by 2. Dennis Schroeder, 1, 2, and 3 the hard way. He makes the free throw. Lakers up 1. On the other end, let's go to our best, and that's Fox. He had 23. Kings back up 1 after a couple of free throws. This time it's Harrison Barnes to the rim. He had 20. Kings back in front by 1. Schroeder. Floater, bouncing. No, Montrezl Harrell, point blank, no. Wild scramble, and it's out of bounds with 2.5 on the clock. Kings fouled. They make free throws. 1.3. That's a pretty good look for a really good shooter. But Kyle Kuzma's just short, and that means that the Lakers head into the break having dropped 7 of 10 games. Got some ground to make up in their quest for the best record in the NBA, and I don't even know that they care about any of that. I think they just want to be healthy for the playoffs, but this is where things stand. Lakers have gone 0-4 against the current top 2 seeds in both conferences, including a 1-point loss to the Sixers and a 25-point loss to the Jazz. Tim Legler with us to take stock of a couple conference leaders whose first halves completed on Wednesday night with a tremendous game we saw in Philly, talking obviously about the Sixers and the Jazz. Let's start with the Sixers. And Tim, how was this game in many ways a microcosm of the evolution of what Embiid is becoming as a player?
Yeah, I think tonight was a perfect example of, number one, the condition that he's got himself in. To have the stamina to play for 48 minutes the way he's been playing all year. He just hasn't been able to do that earlier in his career. And as a result, they have this unique player that's a combination of raw power, athletic ability, and then an immense amount of skill. And you saw it all on display in this one. And this is all from the last 6 minutes of regulation. 7-1, 275 with the beautiful pump fake up and under. I love this one, Scott, more than any other. 2 efforts. First, makes Mitchell miss the finger roll and then recovers with 1 step to get Gobert at the rim. And this is really what Embiid is at his best. He's just an unstoppable force in the low post in a one-on-one situation. Another opportunity here. He shows hard on the ball screen, but then recovers all the way to break up that lob. And that's something the Jazz just kill people with every single night. And this is just ridiculous. He looks up at the clock, sees 10 seconds, starts thinking to himself, we might not have time to make this a 2-possession game, so I'm just going to go ahead, dribble out here, up fake, stay on balance. Bogdanovich plays it beautifully, and he just holds his follow-through and bangs out a 25-footer to send the game to overtime. I thought the 50-point game against Toronto a week and a half ago was his signature moment to thrust himself to the head of the MVP conversation. But that was nothing compared to this game. I mean, he did everything humanly possible on both ends of the floor that a guy needs to say, I'm the MVP of this league. And I don't think it's close right now, Scott, based on the fact that the Sixers are number 1 in the East. And I can't imagine what this team would look like without what Joel Embiid has become.
Yeah, I think that he is fully realizing what everybody hoped he might eventually become, right? Be healthy enough, fit enough, and we certainly know skilled enough to put it all on display. And it was there tonight. In this one. The Jazz lose, but we've seen a really nice snapshot of who they are. But that's through Christmas, through the bulk of the winter. And Tim, as you look to the second half in the spring and then potentially the summer, what do you believe the Jazz ultimately will be?
I think we looked at 2 teams tonight that are conference finalists. I think ultimately they might run into somebody a little bit better, whether it's the Nets in the East for Philly or the Lakers if AD's healthy in the West. I think this team could beat the Clippers in a best-of-7. So I think they're a conference finalist as their ceiling, and maybe beat the Lakers if they're not fully healthy. And the reason, Scott, because they can attack you in a different way. The way they move it, the way they shoot it, the way they see the floor is special. This is something you're watching right now that's almost unprecedented in this league, the rate at which they are shooting threes. But then they can also beat you by shutting you down defensively. This is one of the top-rated defensive teams in the NBA. So to have that unique combination, that's what you have to do to attack a team like LA. It's got to be something different than the rest of the league brings to the table, and that's what they do. They shoot threes, and then they get you chasing it like they did on that possession, and they've got enough bigs between Favors and Gobert. They've got bigs that can hurt you in the middle once they get you extended. The fact, though, that they always make the extra pass and it always seems to end up in the hands of a guy that can hurt you makes them just different than what everybody else has. And with Philly, it's the same thing. Nobody can attack the Brooklyn Nets or any other team in the East the way Philly can because of the unique nature of Embiid's dominance. And that's why I think these two teams have something special going on. Philly's going to try to add a piece. If they can, hey, maybe they can take on the Nets and beat them in a 7-game series. But either way, I think both of these teams can get to the conference finals.
At minimum, conference leaders for a reason, and I think we saw why illustrated in not a 48-minute game, but ultimately a 53-minute game because 48 wasn't enough to sort it out. As always, Tim, your time's appreciated. Look forward to the next time, all right? Well, the house is not a home at the moment. The Rockets have lost a dozen straight. But they did have a ton of good times together. What was that Stein article about 600 and something games, right? Yeah. A whole lot of good history. Beforehand, some kids trying to get some signatures, and then we're told, I guess, you can't do that. I don't know if it's protocol or what's going on, but that's a bummer for the youngsters. As for the introductions, what are we going to hear?
And the other guy, 6'5", out of Arizona State, number 13, James Harden.
And then a video tribute. Harden acknowledges the crowd there. That's during the first timeout. Harden did not wait to put his fingerprints all over this game. Knocks down the three early on, gets into rhythm, setting up others like Bruce Brown. Harden, the drive, and the lay-in. Nearly a triple-double at the half with 14 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, and the Nets had a 13-point lead over the Rockets. John Wall doing what he can to try to keep Houston in it. His frustration has been palpable as they have hit this